So yes, so I'm going to start off fairly simply with a little bit of background, a quick recap to set the scene. So we're going to be talking very much about AI, and there's a lot of misunderstandings. There's a lot of fake news about AI and what it can do. Obviously, AI can be used for good, and equally it can be used for bad. So we're today just going to be focusing on AI specifically from a professional perspective and how to use AI in a professional environment. And then obviously talking a bit about the future of AI as well. Um, and please note, AI is not going to replace humans. We definitely will be using AI in our daily work life, and really important to differentiate between using AI for good and using AI for bad. So that is something that we'll probably discuss or cover in later sessions. Going to go to the next slide. So what we're going to be covering today is using generative AI for business innovation. So we'll be creating a few AI stories. I'm going to show you how to create content. So we will be using, for example, both written as well as graphical generation. Unfortunately, I don't have access to video generation, but we will even be talking to um, new video generation. So you can use AI to generate videos at the moment. So I'll be sharing that with you as well. I'll also be taking you through live Copilot demonstration, and then discussing the impact of AI on creative industries. So there have been a lot of strikes recently. A lot of creative people feel that AI is being misused and unfairly used to sort of steal their ideas, steal their content. And then also talking very briefly about copyright concerns and promoting originality when producing information. So let's start off today. So what I'd encourage you to do, there are so many different generative AI tools out there at the moment. So obviously what I will be demonstrating today, first of all, is ChatGPT that is produced by OpenAI. Also Copilot, which is a tool that Microsoft has developed and has launched. It has gone live. And I do encourage you, if you've not used Copilot before, to really investigate using that. Also, another tool that I've just started using recently is Perplexity. Really good tool to try out. The other tools, I must admit, I myself have not tried. There's Google Bard, there's Claude, there's Jasper AI, there's Writer AI, and ChatSonic that is produced by WriteSonic. So I really encourage you to just try it out and see. I mean, remember, we covered it in the first few sessions, the science of prompt engineering. So really important that the way you craft your prompt is so important. And remember, you're building a relationship with the chat AI engine. So really important for you to explain exactly what you want. If the generative AI tool is not giving you what you want, I really encourage you to sort of be more specific about what you want, explain to it what you want, and give it feedback on how it can improve as well. So first of all, one of the really fun and interesting areas that has developed very significantly and very quickly is generating music. So if we have any people in the community today who are YouTubers, often getting free audio that you can share and use for your YouTube videos has been very difficult and very challenging to do. But now with the likes of Suno and Udio, that's SUNO and UDIO, you can actually generate music. And it can be, you can have sort of the generative AI can create music from scratch. So you can ask it to create a lullaby that you can sing to your children at night as they're falling asleep. And it will actually even create a voice singing for you in addition to the music as well. You can also create instrumental music where nobody's singing. And you can even provide the words to the song that you wanted to generate as well. So I really encourage you, yes, this is available live and it is free. So it does allow you to generate some content. Obviously, it is limited, so you can only create so many songs a day, but it really is an amazing tool, and I encourage you to try it out. And I encourage you, there are other ones out there as well, but these are the two that I've tested and used the most. So Suno and Udio, two really good solutions for generating and creating music. Then in terms of video, yes, it is possible to generate videos using AI. Obviously, it's still very much in its infancy. It has only just sort of really come to the fore, but I'm just going to stop sharing the presentation now. So for those of you who've not heard of Sora before, Sora is basically giving you the ability to create video from text. So just to explain again, so what you will do is you will write text and say, create a video of paper jets flying over a forest. And that is what the tool can do. So I'm just going to paste into the chat the link to this website and you can see what it does. Now, obviously, you need a premium subscription in OpenAI to be able to do this, but it really is phenomenal. I mean, it literally looks like a movie. If you pay really careful attention to the content, you might be able to see a few glitches. For example, if you watch this lady's feet walking, it actually looks like she's slipping a little bit on the wet road, but still really phenomenal to think that this is AI generated. It's not real. There was no cameraman there. This lady is not real. Even the background is not real. I mean, if you go to the next slide, obviously woolly mammoths don't exist, but here it's created woolly mammoths walking along the snow in a forest in wintertime. Here also there's a prompt talking about a 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool knitted motorcycle helmet. I don't know why he's wearing a red knitted motorcycle helmet, but it just shows you what is possible. So really is phenomenal. So none of this is real. It's all AI generated. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you need to have a premium subscription to be able to view these videos, but all of them have been created by AI. Obviously, they're still very short clips, so you're not able yet to produce a full-length movie, but the technology is improving, and this explains why, because obviously from a video perspective, this is where most of your processing power is going to be used, and that is why all these data centers are being set up all over the world to be able to process and generate this type of content. So really interesting that you can do this. I mean, even if you look at this, there's a reflection on the glass orb. It just looks so realistic, it's unbelievable. So I really encourage you to go in and have a look. I mean, it's not perfect. I mean, sometimes, for example, it will spell the names of vehicles incorrectly. Like this is clearly a Land Rover, but it's not got the name Land Rover on the back of the van. So you do have to give it a little bit of creative license, but it really is. I mean, to think that this is all generated purely with written text is quite phenomenal. So really encourage you to go in and have a look at Sora. Now, in terms of where we are with AI, a lot of people are saying that they're disappointed at the outputs and disappointed at how basic some of the functionality is. And obviously it differs from solution to solution and tool to tool. But I think the key thing to realize is that literally 30 years ago, when I sort of started working in the workplace, we were using the likes of Quattro Pro and WordPerfect and Netscape Navigator. They were really primitive. I mean, I started using Windows when it was Windows 3.11. I don't even know what was available to people before that. But obviously, we've really come a long way in terms of technology. And if you look at how quickly these technologies have developed, you can definitely see that even from an AI perspective, things are going to be moving a lot quicker. So what we're going to do now is switch to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a free tool. They have recently changed their domain. They used to be through OpenAI, but now they've got chatgpt.com. You will need to create a profile the first time you sign in. But you can see now some of the content is free and some of it you will need to pay for. So obviously the more premium features you need to pay for. And what you can do is really, really fun and interesting. So, for example, you can ask it, create a short poem about living in Cape Town. And you can see I've not really said much about it. And already here, it's talking about the mountains, it's talking about the cliffs, it's talking about Table Mountain, which I've not even asked it to. It talks about wine and laughter, flow with ease. So probably sort of talking about Stellenbosch and the vineyards. So let's say, please add something about penguins at Boulders Beach. So now it's added little paragraphs just about the penguins at Boulders Beach. Then I can also say something about add something about Camps Bay and the V and A waterfront. Now, what's interesting is I've made a spelling mistake, but the AI is clever enough to know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to correct waterfront. I'm going to leave it like that and then say produce the full poem, please. And you will see now it's literally going to provide the full one where it's talking about, you see Camps Bay and Boulders and the waterfront. So you need to explain what you're wanting to do and sort of take it along the journey with you. And this is literally a poem that we've created. If I want to, I can create a new chat and say, let's write a short story about a wine producer in Stellenbosch, make it a drama about struggling to be profitable as well as family challenges. Personal. Okay. Please keep it to under 1,000 words and use simple English. So why I'm saying specifically use simple English is you can play with it. You can say to it, write it in a Shakespearean, write it as if you're writing a Shakespearean play, for example. So you can play with the tense. You can also say, for example, write it as if you're writing it for a 12-year-old child. So we'll do that just now as well. So here you go. And you see, this is what has created a lot of concerns for creative people, because obviously they would sit down and it would take them sort of a few hours to be able to generate information this quickly. Obviously, just in a few sentences, I've been able to get ChatGPT to create all of this content over here. And you see, it's amazing because it even sort of has given the person a name. So I didn't even mention that it's a South African person who might be Afrikaans, but it's automatically chosen Daniel van der Merwe, who's in his late 50s and he's standing on his porch overlooking the vineyard. And you can see it's quite descriptive. It talks about his daughter, who's 27, fresh out of university, and she calls him Papa. And you can see how it even brings Daniel's younger brother Willem into it. And you can see I'm obviously not going to go through this any detail, and it's even named the winery Batenhof. So you can change it and say create more tension between Daniel and his wife and add into the story. Sorry, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. There we go. So now it's going to rewrite the entire story, but add a little bit of tension between Daniel and his wife. So it still keeps the original story, and hopefully it's going to add something about him and his wife as well. So you can see there, it's given his wife's name is Mari. And you can keep going and keep building on the idea. If it starts getting a bit dramatic, for example, I asked yesterday for the graphical version of Copilot to create a picture of being able to display the metaphor of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. And it created two images of men sort of stuck between rocks and walls, and they had these terrible grimaces and ugly faces on them. It looked like they were in a lot of pain. So I just asked the AI engine to change it to just sort of make them look less sort of tortured, and it was able to adapt it as well. So you can really sort of change it. I can say make the story appropriate for a child 12 years of age, and what it will do then is obviously make it more age appropriate. So it will use slightly different language. It might explain things a little bit simpler, maybe make it a little bit less dramatic as well, and a lot safer. And you can keep going with this story for as long as you want to. Obviously, you would then be able to cut and paste it into a word processor and improve it even further. You could even, for example, add additional chapters to it. You can build on the idea, you can change it, you can introduce new characters or remove existing characters. And I think that's the key thing that you need to realize with this chat GPT. So just to remember as well, we got into the theory last time, but GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So pre-trained means that we've already provided a large language model or LLM to the generative tool. So it's already going in to this database of information and using it. And this is what has caused a lot of concern for artists, is both from a written text perspective, even creating pictures and images and videos, is those tools have been trained using information that is available. They often say it was freely available content, but obviously we all know that some content on the internet, even though it's free, it has been pirated. It should not be available free of charge, but people have made it sort of available. They've downloaded it, converted books, for example. They've taken books and scanned them in, converted them to text, and uploaded the entire book in text format without the author actually getting any credit or recognition for it. And this is what's caused a lot of challenges with people adapting to and using the technologies. They feel from an ethical perspective, it's really not fair. So yeah, I mean, should that stop us from using the technology? It's really difficult. So right, let's go through to Copilot now. So ChatGPT, just to confirm, is freely available, but if you want to use the more advanced features, you would need to pay for a premium license. What I'm going to share with you now is Microsoft's version of Copilot. So this is our internal Copilot engine. So this is a premium feature. It is not freely available. And the first thing that you can notice is it has a few prompts available. So already Microsoft is recommending prompts that you can use. Also, you see at the top here, there's a work and a web button. So obviously from a security perspective, if you're using generative AI in your working environment, companies don't want you taking their confidential information and putting it out into the open world. So for example, ChatGPT is an open tool. So any sort of private information, company information, for example, if you're wanting to share customer names that are legally protected, if you're wanting to share legal agreements that aren't open to the public, it's very dangerous putting those out on open forums like ChatGPT, for example. And that's why here in Microsoft, we can sort of switch between using it for work and using it for the web. So similar to ChatGPT, I could click on the web, and what that means then is that Copilot is now connected to the internet to be able to access information. If I click on work, it would allow me to then go in and look for content in my emails, in my chats, even on my SharePoint drives and OneDrives where I'm saving content, even with collaboration activity that's happened with me and other people. So it will be able to know who the people are that I work with. So if I talk about my manager, Copilot will know who my manager is and when we've communicated. So my manager's been on leave for a week, so it's unlikely that I'll have any correspondence between him and myself for the past week. But if I ask for something in the past month, for example, we're going to be traveling to Seattle next month, so I can ask it and say, please remind me, my manager recommended a hotel for us to stay in Seattle next month. Please confirm the name of that hotel. Copilot will be able to go into the history, find that, and share it with me. Also, what we have is the visual creator. So that is also bundled with Copilot. It's freely available. If your company is paying for the Copilot engine, all of this is available to you as an employee. And you can use it to create images, beautiful images. And here, once again, often I find the first images are not exactly what I want, maybe because I've not described it or explained it correctly. So I can ask it and say, create an image of the sun setting over Table Mountain in Cape Town. So that's all I'm going to ask. I'm not going to give it any more information, and let's have a look and see what it's going to generate. So typically it will generate 4 images for you, and you can then sort of say to it, I like this or I don't like that. Can you change this? Can you change that? Can you add, for example, more greenery, or anything really that you can do? You can say add more people. So you can see here, I don't know if you can see when I zoom in, but you can see amazing pictures. Not perfect. I mean, Lion's Head isn't in front of the mountain like that, but sort of really, really true. Little bit too pink for me. Not big on pink. So you could even say here, please enhance the sky to be more blue and add more greenery to the image. And what Copilot will do is basically go in and using the previous prompt, you see I didn't have to tell it again, I want an image of Table Mountain at the sunset. It will remember that, but now it will allow me to change that. So hopefully we're going to see more blue sky and more greenery as well. So you can see there you go. So so you can see how lifelike this looks already. Even that there you can see the detail. Look at the swirls of the clouds, even the sun, and you can see more greenery over here. I don't know if that's a true reflection of the vegetation around Table Mountain. That looks more realistic. So it's amazing, isn't it? And now I can copy that. And I mean, how easy and quick was I able to do that? So I'm going to share that in the chat. I think that's my favorite picture. Ooh, that one's nice as well. And this is the challenge, is trying to find the image that you like the most. So there you go. So we've created a few images very quickly. And the nice thing is that it does keep that for you. So yesterday I was playing with it and I asked it to create sort of a few lines. I'm actually going to stop sharing now. And you can see the pride of lines that it created. Oh, they're quite small. But I actually downloaded them because I wasn't sure. This is the challenge of working with a live demo environment, is you're never sure what you're going to be able to see. So I'm just going to stop sharing. You can see here, if you have the premium version of Copilot, you will see it's available in Teams. You can see if we've got prompts over here. So live, so I don't need to wait until the end of the meeting. I can do it in the meeting. So Copilot in Teams has a few prompts. I can say to recap the meeting so far, and you can see it's going to go live into the transcription of what we've done, and it's going to give a summary of what we've done so far. So you can see it spelled my surname correctly, which is wonderful. and it gives you an idea of what we've discussed. Really detailed. It even talks about Sharon and Nondu Miso. I hope I said your name correctly, Nondu Miso. So you can also prompt and sort of give it different prompts. I can say, recommend a few interesting questions I could ask. And remember, it's always contextualized. So based on what we've been discussing today, Copilot will know and take cognizance of that and then build recommended questions based on that. So I was just sharing with Shannon a little bit earlier. Copilot is not emotional, so it doesn't get caught up in being inappropriate or cutting through things. So it is able to sort of pick up on sentiment. It can pick up where there might be sources of tension. It might pick up where people might sort of be disagreeing, sort of very gently or subtly about something. And the AI engine would be able to pick up on that, and recommend areas that you need to discuss, areas that might need to be sort of cleared up, where there might be sources of tension or disagreement, and it can then do that for you. So you can see here, it's recommended a few questions, a lot more than I would have expected. What are some practical examples of using AI for business innovation in our industry? Ethical considerations, prompt engineering, can you provide tips on crafting effective prompts? So that's amazing. So I'm going to copy that. And if we put that into Copilot now, you will be able to see how it would do that. Can you provide tips on crafting effective prompts for AI tools to get the best results? And you will see, once again, as I said earlier, it will be as if it's the first time that somebody's asked Copilot this question. So you can see here, it's given really good tips about asking, prompting, engineering. And I think that's a key thing. And that's what we're trying to do today. Is I'm not trying to give you fish. I'm trying to teach you how to fish. So just to explain as well, you've got Copilot. So you obviously need the latest version of Microsoft Word, and you need a Copilot license to be able to do that. So you can see here, the Copilot is saying, what would you like to write? So I can say, create a business proposal for a company that is making environmentally friendly pet food. Let's say ideally vegetarian. I don't even know if that's possible. And if I click enter now and generate it, you will see that Copilot in Word is going to create a business proposal for me. And the amazing thing is that it's even given it a name of EcoPet. So whether I like EcoPet or not, I can change it. Some people ask me, why does it not just produce it immediately? So similar to if you go into search engines and search for something, it's almost instant. Remember, this is the processing power that these AI engines need. So this is the first time that it's creating this content. So obviously it needs to go into the cloud, draw those resources, and create this information from scratch. So you can see it's created an executive summary. It's done market analysis where it's actually spoken about the global pet food industry that's worth $99 billion by 2027. So it's even predicting what's going to happen in the future. It's saying the target market consists of environmentally conscious pet owners. Very interesting competitive landscape. It's talking about some competitors, VDog, Halo, and Wild Earth, that are already out there. What can we provide? So you can see the key protein sources, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, utilizing locally sourced organic ingredients. It's got a marketing strategy, marketing channels that you could use. I mean, isn't it amazing that in a few minutes it's generated this level of detail for me? It really is amazing. So I can now either keep this or I can ask it to change something. So I could add additional features, for example, and say, come up, or recommend rather, recommend a more detailed marketing plan, also forecast my financial plans and make it just for dog food. So remember earlier I said it was just for pets, but now I'm saying for dog food. So if I click that button, so now, okay, so sorry, this does happen. So obviously I've given it too much to do. So I should have sort of just given it one thing. So instead of pet food, let's focus just on dog food. Let's see if that's too much. I'm giving it too much to do all at once. So there we go. So now you see it's changed it from eco pet to eco dog without me asking it to. So really consistent. And there we go. An environmentally friendly vegetarian dog food. So you can see it's still busy generating it. Oh, so it did put in some financial projections. And you can see how quick and easy it was to do that. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to stop presenting over there. And that, remember, that is natively built into Word. So similarly, we can do this even in PowerPoint now, where it comes up not just with the text in the slides, but even the backgrounds and the content and the pictures and images that can create for you from scratch. So you can imagine from a data privacy perspective how handy it is, because you don't need to worry about downloading images, for example, off the internet, and there being copyright problems with it. Literally, you can create all the images yourself, even as I mentioned a little bit earlier, any content or music that you want to use in YouTube videos, you can now create and share that music that you've created, and sort of publish it. So I'm just going to go back into my slides again. So I've pretty much covered all of that. So as I mentioned earlier, so I was playing with it yesterday, create an image of a pride of lions at sunset in the African bushveld, relaxing with cubs playing. I then tweaked it slightly because it was too sort of orangey for me. So I said, please add more green foliage with distinct blue sky and clouds. For me, it still looked a little bit too cartoony. It looked like something from The Lion King. So I said, please make it more realistic, high definition with the adult lions resting and the cubs playing. So you can see it came up with another picture, which is beautiful. I mean, I could use that in a presentation if I wanted to. So really lovely. Obviously, from the prompt that you use for generating videos, also, if you're writing a full-length movie, for example, that prompt is going to be really long, but you could do it in bits. You don't need to do it all at once. Obviously, you need to keep the characters more or less the same. And that's often the thing I find with the generative AI is sometimes, for example, if you're writing a plot and it's about a boyfriend and girlfriend, it might get confused about the relationship and start introducing other characters that you didn't ask it to. Parents could suddenly become aunts and uncles and things like that. So it can become confused, and that's why you need to just explain. And as I said earlier, you're going to be building a relationship with the generative AI tool. So I tend to try and be friendly and relaxed with it. I say please and thank you. Some people don't believe that they need to do that, but one day AI might be your manager. So I think maybe it's a good idea to start getting used to being polite to your manager now, as it is. Which app would you recommend for taking minutes, especially those with no subscriptions? So that's a good question. So if you have a premium version of Word, you can actually transcribe live in Word now. So let me see if I can do that. I'm just going to stop sharing. So if you have a good quality room microphone, you could set that up in the boardroom and you could use Word to basically transcribe. So let's see, it's saying it's listening, and you could even specify which language you're going to be speaking. So it's chosen English UK, so you might be able to change it to English South Africa now. I'm not sure about all of our official languages, but you can see it's not perfect. For example, South Africa, it's not put the capital S and the capital E. Okay, now as I'm saying it, it did that. But you can see it is transcribing everything that I'm speaking. If I speak very quickly, it might struggle to cover everything that I say. So typically you need to try and talk conversationally, and it will do it. The only challenge with this, and this is why I'd recommend using Teams transcription, is that it doesn't know who the different people are talking. So obviously, if you're in one room as well, it might not be able to distinguish between the different people speaking. And that's why, sadly, you don't want to have people coming together and still then using Teams to communicate, because obviously it's going to get confused. But transcribing a Teams meeting is typically the best. So I'm going to stop transcribing. I don't know if you guys all knew about that, but there it is. So I can just stop the dictation now, and there it's captured what I've said. And then obviously I could go in and use Copilot to summarize the conversation. So if I click summarize this document, it's going to summarize what I've just discussed. Amazing, isn't it? Look at that. Obviously, this is the strike that took place recently for the Writers Guild in the US, where they were saying that people are using their content to generate new ideas, and they, as the original generators of these ideas, are not getting compensated for that. And they're saying that that is really unfair. Also, in terms of copyright concerns and promoting originality, what you'll see now more and more is that, for example, if you're creating images, they will put a watermark in it. So similarly, some of the sort of more well-known brands that have very high definition photos, they will watermark their photos, and then you can pay if you want a sort of non-watermarked image. So if you like a picture of a pride of lions that they took in Africa, they will have it watermarked. So you cannot use it in presentations. It's not going to look great. So you can contact that company and say, I'd like to purchase that, and they will give you permission to use the high definition version of that image, but you've paid for it. So that is how they make their royalties or make money from paying for the ticket for the person to fly to Africa and take photos of lions. And that is the challenge, is a lot of these large language models are using information that is freely available on the internet, but it is not really free. So, for example, if I take a video of a movie that is copyrighted and put it on the internet, these language models could then access that video and use it as if it's free, even though it's not free. And if I want to generate another movie, it will use that knowledge and that intelligence of those shots and those frames and panning and moving around, and even the words of the actors speaking. It would be able to copy that and share that. And that is the challenge that we've got, is how to control that. And that is the difficult thing, is how do you press forward and innovate and continue using AI when you're not really considering the legal ramifications? And we've not even spoken about the dark side of AI, where you've got malicious players that are using AI to generate code to help them with hacking and that type of thing. So that does happen. Even people creating fake voice calls of people they pretend to be family members, calling in a panic saying, oh, my car's broken down, I don't have my card with me, please send me cash to my phone, this is my phone number, I've lost my phone, this is my new phone number. And people think it really is that family member, and obviously they can't phone the person back, so they send the money to that phone number and they lose the money, and it's a scam. So this is the challenge of AI as well. It really is difficult, and I often use the metaphor of a knife, where knives in the hands of a chef or a surgeon, a knife is an amazing, wonderful tool. But obviously in the hands of a robber, a knife is a terrible thing. And this is the challenge. We can't stop knives being produced and sold all over the place. Obviously, we can minimize it being sold to children, for example, or adolescents, but you cannot take all the knives out of circulation. It's not possible to do that. So that's it. So Sharon, I'm going to stop here. I don't know if there are any more questions, and thank you again.